Hey everybody, it's Lorenzo from GamesRadar.com, and I'm checking out Warface, and I'm here with...
Joshua Howard. I'm the executive producer for Warface.
All right, so what are you guys showing off today?
Today we're showing off our closed beta 2 build of Warface, as it is right now being played in the United States and in Europe, in preparation for our eventual launch.
All right, and what are we checking out right now?
So Jens has just jumped into a multiplayer mode. It's a classic team deathmatch play. He's jumped in with his teammates, and he's currently running around and trying to get a lay of the land. So he's playing as... You're in as the rifleman? He's in as the rifleman. The rifleman has a good generic all-around weapon, while also being able to provide ammunition to other players. So you're seeing as you're running around that we've got some wounded players. You're seeing the timers go off. If a medic can get to one of those guys in time, they're going to be able to get revived. You saw Jens there just do a slide. It's one of the maneuvers that is exciting to use. And then we just saw him get killed.
I was just going to mention that that slide, I was using it earlier, and you could actually shoot while you're sliding, so you could do some... die hard with a vengeance kind of moves here.
That's right. We see really good players who will come in at sort of multiple angles, and somebody coming in from above you and somebody sliding underneath you. That can be a pretty deadly combination. So Jens right now is trying a crew maneuver, and maybe somebody else is there. And this is where there are going to be places in the environment where the only way to get to them is to work together. So he's offering, hey, I'll give you a hand up. And it looks like the sniper's going to take him up on it and then pull him up as well. So there are going to be a variety of places in the maps that are only accessible through this crew maneuver. It's quick and it's easy, but it's really powerful as a way of pulling people together.
All right, so it's a little bit of teamwork just to get that little edge.
That's right. Trying to make teamwork a really easy part of play. Not getting in your way, not forcing it down your throat, but if you want to do a little bit for your player, for your partner, you can.
So you mentioned the assault class. What other types of classes are there, and what's the difference between all of them?
So we started with the assault class. Right there we were watching an assassin, the sniper class. The sniper is the typical, he's your long range attack. But he's a little bit weak in that he doesn't have any other special capabilities. So he's going to need the rest of the crew to watch out for him and protect his back. And then you see some of the players go down with the timer. That's an invitation for the medic. The medic's your healer. He's the guy you want to come up and revive those folks before they pass out completely. Or if they're really in trouble, they need more health. He can arm them as he goes with more armor. So that's with more health. So that's the medic. And then finally there's the engineer. And the engineer takes care of your claymores and your bombs, but he's also got the ability to patch up your armor. So as you're getting hit, you're losing armor, and the engineer can get you back in the game with more armor. So no one of them is really more important than the rest, and a really good squad is the group that knows how to balance all of them together. So he saw the grenade coming in, and he couldn't get out of the way in time, so he still got toasted.
So these maps, or this map, generally looks pretty small. Is the rest of the maps in the game, like close quarters, fast action, that kind of thing?
They vary in size. This is one of the more small to medium-sized maps. There are other maps that are a little bit larger. There's a large variety of them for different play styles. But yeah, it's trying to provide a balance of different ways. So you see right there, we're seeing a guy with the icon that says, hey, he needed armor. So Jens was able to run over and throw him not armor, more ammo. And by helping him with ammo, he's actually also helped himself. He got points for doing that, just like you get points for kills. Now, if he were a medic, he could heal that guy, but sadly, throwing more ammo at that guy isn't going to help. So,
enough.
So you're progressing through the system by you're earning this in-game currency, and then the in-game currency allows you to purchase more items that you unlock through play. So it's something gamers pretty familiar with and understand, and it works pretty well. You're also earning, though, if he does anything really extraordinary, another kind of currency where the crowns are something you only get for doing something pretty amazing. And those are much harder to come by, and those are how you get access to the really very, very impressive weapons in the game.
So this is a free-to-play game. Can you spend money to get extra items and do that, like get better weapons, get better armor, and own everybody, or how does all that work?
So it's important to us to really build a game that's great to play whether you put any money in it or not. And in fact, our players who don't spend any money are an important part of the community. But at the same time, the game supports, if you want to put money into it, you can. So there are a variety of different things you can do. We will play for time. You want to accelerate through progression a little faster, feel free to put a little bit of money into the game, and that's going to help you move a little faster if you want. There's also the idea of what I call pay for shiny. There's going to be a set of weapons and customizations you can use that don't necessarily improve your overall character, doesn't necessarily make you any better, but it is going to help you stand out a little bit. That can be exciting for some players. And then there's other things, like in one of the modes of play, you'll see that when you die, you're going to be out until the next checkpoint. But if you're the kind of player that wants to just dive right in without any thought or consideration, you can purchase what we call resurrection coins that allows you to jump right back into the action. So you don't need them. In fact, our best players tend not to use them. But if you're the kind of player that wants, you can put some money into the game and keep yourself right live into the action.
What about the different types of match modes or game modes? What are we playing right now, and what are the other options?
So right now we're playing a typical team deathmatch. Other versus mode games include a capture the flag mode, as well as a plant the bomb mode, the kinds of things you might see otherwise. And over time, in the future, you'll see more modes coming as we continue to explore it. And then maybe next, as Jens is finishing up with this match, we'll jump into the other really exciting way to play, which is full-on co-op mode.
All right, so we're in the co-op mode now. Can you tell us a little bit about this mode and how it's different from the multiplayer?
Yeah, so we've just started in a training mode. It's sort of the first co-op mode you're going to play. Good introduction to the game, get you warmed up a little bit. Like a lot of the co-op modes, you're getting your mission briefing as you land in the helicopter on site, and right from day one, already the bad guys are around. So you're going to be fighting against a variety of AIs as you try to make your way through the level. Training is pretty straightforward. You just got to make your way through the level and survive and get to the end. But once you've done that, the other co-op modes will change it up a little bit with more AIs, more difficult play, and more kinds of different mission play. So this is where we see the two players working their way through, taking out the enemy as they go, racking up kills. It's still early enough, so it's not a huge surprise that they're both pretty happy and safe and secure. As they progress, though, they're going to find that they're beginning to get to low on ammo, low on health, and they're going to need to work together on that.
So is there an overarching narrative with this? It looked like there was some dialogue in the beginning, and who are these guys that we're trying to kill?
So you're playing as Warface, and really the world sets up that there's two opposing groups. You've got Blackwood, which is sort of a private military, a private security force that has gone the next step of actually privatizing their own army and beginning to have operations in various parts of the world independent of governments. And they're doing some nefarious stuff. So as Warface, you represent a multinational force that's been put together. You tend to be less well-funded and less well-resourced, because the governments aren't quite as capable as the private entity, but you're still doing your best to try to interdict and slow Blackface down. So just a moment before there, you saw an example, a simple example of, as you're playing your way through the level, you may see various events, the truck coming down and crashing through, and a variety of levels of play, you're going to see those kinds of events happening over time. It's more than just playing through a static map. So they've done pretty well at this point, but he's pretty low on armor. Now, if he had a engineer in the game, he could go to the engineer and replace his armor, but he doesn't. So he's got to live with what he's got.
You typically want to go through these co-op missions with a full party, gather all your friends, make sure that they have a medic and an engineer and an assault guy, or can you just try it? Is it possible to do it with two guys?
The levels are balanced well enough that you can come in with a pretty good mix. I think it's going to be easier and more straightforward when you come in with a balanced play. But it's exciting to see that some players actually will challenge themselves and say, all right, we're going to try to go through the whole mission with just snipers, or the whole mission with just medics. So the levels are balanced enough that it works to have a diverse group, but we also don't force that. We're not here to tell players what they have to do. So use the tools you have. It's more straightforward if you're balanced. If you decide not to be, it can still be quite a challenge. So at this point, Jens, how'd you jump back in? Jens was killed. And normally what then would happen is Jens would be waiting until they reach the next checkpoint. he'd be out. Now, Jens could also instead decide to use the resurrection coins. So these are the items that, as a free player, you don't necessarily have. You got to be really counting on your skill. But if you want to be the kind of player who jumps right back into the action, you can spend a little money and get the resurrection coins. And apparently, that's the kind of player Jens is today. So what we're seeing is you notice that there's a variety of different AIs that we're running up against. They have their different skills and abilities. We've got they attack you differently. They'll come at you differently. They'll come at you from behind. They're smart enough that they can be really scary. At the same time, they're not overwhelming. In training mode, this just the normal guys is what you're going to be seeing. If you played through the co-op and the normal mission or the difficult mission, you'd also run into some of the special bad guys. The heavy gunner, which is incredibly heavily armored, or the helicopter gunship, which just rains down death and can be very, very difficult to survive. So at this point, they're making their way through. He's still got decent health, and they're around the corner from a good checkpoint, but they got to try to make it. You see right there in front of them is another one of those places where if they work together, they could climb up. It's not a requirement, but if they did, it might give them a better venue on what was upcoming next in the level. So if they can just make it to that checkpoint, they're going to refresh all their items. And that's important because at this point, any of their health or armor that they were low or weaponry, this gives them another game. You also notice that now we've got another guy in the match. So somebody else out at the lobby side on the G-Face side saw this game and was waiting patiently for a checkpoint to be reached. And now that we reach the checkpoint, the other players get to come in. And that's kind of a nice element that people can come in over time. In fact, now we've got 4 players, so now we're really well set up to make it all the way through this training. As a new player, you've got to get through training before you can unlock the rest of the missions, so it's nice to work together to do that.
How many missions are available total?
Every day you're going to see a variety of missions, and then every few days you're going to see those cycle through. Honestly, I don't even know how many overall total levels, total different mission counts there are. It's a high number. We have players who play for weeks that won't necessarily see the same content refresh. And it's one of the things we're committed to as a service, providing more and more over time. So you may find yourself in a similar mission type. Maybe this is another escort, but this time it's through a different region or it's through a different map. So the gameplay can change up considerably. And then if you play the very same level but on a higher difficulty, it's again yet a whole different level of experiences as you're hitting even more AI, more hard men. It can be a really difficult challenge. So the gameplay keeps changing. So they're coming to the end here, and if they can take care of the last few guys and all get in the helicopter, then they will have finished this part of the mission. You got to be careful, though. It's easy to see the helicopter and start running to it, and then realize that there are more AI guys that are going to jump out and get you. So you got to be a little careful. And then you get some of the greedy players who they want to go back and take care of all the remaining AIs. That is a totally legitimate kind of play, and wait till we go. So now they're just having some fun. Ninja's going to share a little bit more ammo. They're checking their pack. They'll get up, they'll get in the helicopter, and that part of the mission will be done. Once they finish the training mission, they'll unlock the ability to go into the other missions where the challenge gets even more extreme. So here they are back in the helicopter. Helicopter's going to take off. You're just going to hear wonderful voiceover explaining success, and we move on.
Awesome. Looks great. So when can players get their hands on Warface?
Well, they can sign up for the beta right now. Visit warface.com to sign up for the beta access. And if you get selected, you can come in and play right now. We're inviting more people all the time. We're looking for players to get involved, to give us their feedback, to help us understand what we can do to really make sure Warface is the great game we want it to be. So come to warface.com, sign up for an account, come on in and play the beta.
Awesome. And for more on Warface, be sure to check out gamesradar.com.